Welcome back to the PBC, Pelican Bay's Corner, where I give it to you fair and unbiased, raw and uncut. What I always say, some gonna like it, some ain't, man. It just is what it is. We got an update coming from the dog mauling situation where the two pit bulls mauled the lady in her neighborhood to death, what I gave y'all a few days ago. We got an update on that because some charges was given and an arrest was made. And then from there, we're gonna go upstate to Chicago, where a dog fighting situation has unfolded. And we're gonna talk about that as well. You know, so y'all hit that like button up out there, man. Y'all come on down in the chat. All my brothers and sisters is already down in the chat. Much love to you. Big salute to you. Big shout out to you. You know, no matter where you're at across this world, looking at this video right now, like I always say, from North America, South America, to Europe, to Asia, to Africa. You know, big shout out to all my people out there. So let's get into this update where these two pit bulls was loose. And you know how I always say, a lot of the times when these attacks happen, these dogs are bully dogs or XLs, this whatever. You know, in this particular time, looking at these dogs, you know, I'm gonna say at least one of them was a pit bull, and they both look like they could be pit bull, but I think one of them is blue. But like I always say, the color don't matter when it's somebody gets hurt or a life is lost. The color don't matter, and the breed of the dog don't matter. It's all about practice and responsibility, you know, because if the woman or the man who had the dogs were more responsible, then the lady wouldn't have lost her life, you know. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch this first article, and then we're gonna go to this dog fighting bus, man. We're gonna go to the dog fighting bus, and we're gonna talk about that as well. So y'all come on up in here, and let's get to it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sheriff Wayne Ivey, and this evening I want to give our community an update on an arrest related to the untimely and tragic death of Jody Cowan. Now, I'll start by saying that earlier today, with the assistance of our partners at the Melbourne Police Department, Linda Cutler was taken into custody for one count of manslaughter. At the time of her arrest, Cutler was staying at the Hilton Hotel on the beach, which in my opinion is absolutely disgusting, given that her inactions led to the horrific death of an innocent woman who was simply trying to walk her own dog in her neighborhood. As some of you may already be aware, this incident occurred during the early morning hours of May 19th, when the victim was walking her dog in the neighborhood and was attacked by two dogs belonging to Cutler that had once again gotten out of their yard and were roaming the neighborhood. The dogs, identified as Max and Mako, climbed over the owner's fence and began to brutally attack and maul Cowan, forcing her to the ground, viciously attacking her, and eventually dragging her across the ground for quite some distance. A home security camera captured a large part of the attack on video that I want to warn you is extremely troubling and graphic. As you can see in the video, Cowan attempted to protect her own dog while running from the animals in an effort to keep from being attacked, but was eventually overwhelmed and pulled to the ground. As the attack continued, the victim's spouse heard her screaming for help from the yard and raced outside in an effort to stop the attack, which he was eventually able to do by swinging a knife at the dogs and trying to drive them away. Cowan was transported to a nearby trauma center due to the extent of her injuries and was subsequently pronounced dead by hospital staff approximately 4 hours after the attack initially occurred. As a result of the incident, agents with our homicide unit initiated a death investigation, which ultimately revealed that Linda Cutler had specific and documented knowledge that her dogs repeatedly got out of her yard, and additional knowledge that her dogs were attacking humans and had actually bitten someone. The investigation further revealed that Cutler took minimal action to prevent the dogs from getting out of her yard, even after being cited by Animal Services previously for her dogs being at large and being made aware that her dogs actually bit a neighbor who had to seek medical treatment. Now, before I go any further in providing details of the death investigation, I want to address some concerns that have been voiced by a few of our citizens as to why animal enforcement didn't do something to prevent this attack, as neighbors had called numerous times regarding the dogs being out of the fence. While you might think that Animal Services has the authority to seize dogs that routinely escape from yards or that have even bitten someone, the unfortunate reality is that they don't. In fact, even if a dog has previously bitten someone and it's not a severe bite, the most action our animal enforcement officers are allowed by law to take is the issuance of a citation and a fine. If a second bite were to occur, the dog or dogs still can't be seized by animal enforcement officers, as it is not the number of bites, but the severity of the bite that elevates the potential for the dog to be declared a dangerous dog and the owner go before a magistrate. However, please keep in mind that even with a severe bite that initiates an appearance, the dog owner still has the right to keep the dog or dogs by following the court's ruling that they must have effective fencing, muzzle the dog anytime someone is visiting the residence, signage on all egress points saying a dangerous dog resides there, and have a $100,000 insurance policy in the event the dog bites another person. In this specific case, it's important to know that while there were calls for service dating back as far as 2024 at Cutler's residence, those calls were not even involving the two dogs involved in this attack. Even with that, as a result of the calls concerning Cutler's animals, our animal enforcement officers did issue Cutler numerous citations for her dogs getting out, which is the full extent of what the law allows us to do for the reported violations. It's also important to note that during the early calls from 2024 through November of 25, the calls at Cutler's residence were related to other dogs, as the two dogs involved in this attack were puppies back then. Further, while there were calls for the dogs involved in this incident being at large, some of the callers stated at the time of their calls that the dogs were not aggressive and that they just keep getting out of the fence and need to be returned to their home. While there was an additional report where the dogs bit one of the neighbors, the victim in that incident did not cooperate with law enforcement after repeated calls to do so from our animal enforcement officers. Since the victim in that case refused to cooperate or even return our calls, the investigation could not be continued, which prohibited our animal enforcement officers from taking any further action. So essentially, our animal enforcement officers and even our deputy sheriffs at times responded to the various complaints and enforced the violations to the extent we are allowed by law. Now, to date, our agents, as part of the death investigation, have conducted numerous interviews and collected significant amounts of evidence in different mediums. As part of the investigation, agents took a sworn statement from Linda Cutler, during which she stated that she was aware that her dogs would routinely get out of the fence and have to be repeatedly returned to her yard. She further admitted that she knew that one of her dogs had bitten an individual, and also that both dogs were becoming more and more aggressive, even towards her. She also stated that she had put up another fence, but knew that it had holes and spaces in it that the dogs could go back and forth through. Even worse, even knowing that the dogs had killed someone because of her failure to control them, she actually asked when she could get her dogs back. Now imagine that, being so oblivious to reality that you totally glaze over the loss of someone's life and ask, can you get the dogs back that you didn't take care of in the first place? Well, as a result of our investigation, our agents met with our Brevard County State Attorney's Office and presented the case to them with the various items of evidence and statements for their review. As a result, our agents subsequently obtained an arrest warrant for manslaughter that was signed by the Honorable Judge Kurt Jacobus, directing that Cutler be held on a no bond status. As stated previously, Cutler was picked up earlier today on the warrant by members of the Melbourne Police Department who'd responded to the Hilton on the beach for a disturbance involving Cutler and others. Are you kidding me? Folks, an innocent woman is dead and two dogs are about to be euthanized because of this woman's inactions and failure to be a responsible pet owner. And she and her little honey are hanging at the beach at a beautiful hotel. Because of her, a family is trying to deal with the aftermath of a horrific attack on their loved one, and she's soaking up rays and living it up. Oh, and to make matters worse, when she was taken into custody, she feigned having a heart attack and had to be, by policy, transported to a nearby hospital for evaluation. At the hospital, I'm guessing they determined she didn't have a heart at all because they released her to our custody. And as you can see, I personally met our team at the jail earlier and walked her sorry butt into the jail myself. Hope you enjoyed your time at the beach.
Oh yeah.
Because you're not going to be going back.
Okay. What is the purpose of that?
A woman's dead and two dogs are about to be euthanized because of your uselessness. So have a nice visit. In closing, our thoughts and prayers are with Jody's family and friends as they face this most difficult time. In addition, I want to commend our agents, deputies, animal cruelty investigators, and crime scene unit for their work on this very difficult case. Folks, working a case of this type is an extremely difficult task, and I truly can't commend our team members enough on the job they do each and every day.
Let's go to Chicago, where we got a dog fighting bus, or what they call a dog fighting arrest. 2 people arrested for dog fighting. And this is no different than hundreds of the other articles that I did over the past few years. What makes it the same, one might ask? Because we got dog fighting and drugs. I always say it, dog fighting and drugs, you know how it's gonna go. Whether you're dog fighting or not, drugs, you're automatically a dog fighter. But in this situation, they got caught with a little bit more for the law enforcement to say they were dog fighting, you know. So what I'm gonna do, let y'all listen to this video, let y'all listen to this article, and then we're gonna speak about it when it's done.
Breaking news from the PBC. Dogfighting ring investigation in Chicago suburb leads to 2 arrests. Most disturbing. A man and a woman were arrested in connection with a dogfighting ring in suburban Chicago. What we know, Kankakee County Sheriff's deputies executed a search warrant over the weekend at a property in Pembroke Township. Billy Walker, 45, was charged with 2 counts of animal torture, 2 counts of aggravated cruelty to animals, and 18 counts of dogfighting. Yashia Austin, 43, was charged with manufacturing/delivery of 400 to 900 grams of fentanyl and 2 counts of aggravated fleeing/eluding. Walker was released from custody after a Kankakee County judge denied the state's petition to detain him. Austin remains in custody at the Jerome Combs Detention Center pending trial. What we don't know. Officials did not list the street where the dogfighting ring took place or the next court date for either of the suspects. It was not immediately clear how many dogs were abused or if any further charges are pending. What they're saying. This investigation uncovered some of the most disturbing and inhumane treatment of animals that our investigators have encountered. Kankakee County Sheriff Mike Downey said in a statement. The evidence recovered from this property, including makeshift dog fighting pits, weighted training collars, spring poles, treadmills modified to force dogs to run continuously, and devices designed to stimulate aggressive prey drive, paints a horrifying picture of prolonged cruelty and abuse.
Same old scenario, like I said, same old thing, drugs and dog fighting. Only thing about this situation, we got the woman was arrested. They say the woman was arrested for delivery and manufacturing of the fentanyl. Now, when it comes to the dog fighting, you know, they can't really say they wasn't dog fighting because they got caught with a box, makeshift pits or boxes or squares or what they call them. You know, you caught red-handed. You know, whether you was actually fighting your dog, it don't matter because you got caught with the dog fighting stuff. See, I always say a spring pole is not a dog fighting utensil. A flirt pole is not a dog fighting utensil. A treadmill is not a dog fighting utensil because dogs and people have these things all across the world to play with their dogs and to exercise their dogs. That's not dog fighting utensils. It's just stuff that they put against the dog fighter to say, oh yeah, you dog fighting. You know, you can buy a treadmill off any website, you know, from Walmart to Amazon to any, you can buy treadmills. And if you, as long as you don't got a pit bull, they'll never bring up the dog fighting situation up. Now, if I got a German Shepherd, right? Rottweiler, if I got a Great Dane, whatever dog I want to have, whatever breed of dog I want to have, and to say these dogs are skinny, so they're coming to arrest me for animal cruelty as far as neglect or whatever. Now, dog fighting situation will never come up. They'll never say anything about dog fighting if I got a treadmill and these dogs are skinny, no water, no food or whatever, and they just looking, you can see their backbone. They'll never say anything about dog fighting, period. Because those aren't the kind of dogs that are so-called used for fighting. The fighting breed. You know, it can be a Malinois, it can be poodles, it can be Siberian Huskies, and they're skinny, they need to be taken away from me. And I got treadmills and I got all this other stuff like flirt poles and spring poles. They'll never say that I was using these dogs for fighting. But only thing that makes the difference is the breed of the dog. You see, the breed of the dog shouldn't make a difference in what you charge a person with. Because you can't charge me for fighting if you don't got proof that I was fighting. That's what I say, right? Just because I got a pit bull instead of Siberian Husky or German Shepherd or a Rottweiler, that means I'm fighting the dogs. You know, that's where the country is messing up at when it comes to charging people with this stuff. You know, you just saying that they dog fighting because of the breed. It's discrimination is what I said. It's profiling is what I said a long time ago. If I got a German Shepherd, skinny, not being fed right, he looking bad, he looking horrible, anybody who see him will say, man, you better get that dog big or you're going to get in trouble. Anybody who see him say that. And I got a treadmill, and I got a flirt pole, and I got a spring pole, and these different things for the dog to grab onto and shake and all that. You will never hear dog fighting bust come up in the conversation. Dog fighting come up in the conversation. But if I got a pit bull, you hear dog fighting coming up in the situation. Whether you see me dog fighting or not, the same exact things for another breed that I had, but they didn't say anything about dog fighting. But when I got a pit bull, it's called dog fighting. You know, so that don't make sense, man. It don't make sense for nobody to be charged with dog fighting or any type of dog fighting charges when you didn't catch them dog fighting. A treadmill don't mean you're dog fighting. A spring pole don't mean you're dog fighting. Flirt pole don't mean you're dog fighting. The pit bull don't mean you're dog fighting. Dog fighting means you're dog fighting. You know, now in this situation, this guy was caught with the square. You know, so if you caught with the square, the actual thing what they fight the dog in, that's the difference. That's the only thing that he got caught with that calls him a dog fighter, certified dog fighter. You know, all that other stuff we name out, that don't make you a dog fighter. But it makes you a dog fighter to the law when they come and arrest you, to make you look bad. You know, you don't gotta be, like I said, you don't gotta be doing nothing to be considered a dog fighter. And then people will get all up under your comments saying all of the horriblest things and the cruelest things they saying to do to you and what they want to do to you and where you should be at. They saying all this stuff just because of one thing, the breed change. If it was a Rottweiler, it'd be animal cruelty. And it wouldn't be all the harsh stuff being said about me. If it was a Husky, it'd be animal cruelty. And it wouldn't be all the harsh things said about me. Just, oh, the dog need to have some weight on him. Or the dog is looking bad. Or, you know, it may even be a blue ticket. But if it's a pit bull, then it becomes dog fighting. And that's not right, man. It shouldn't matter because of the breed of the dog to the charge that you get. You know, that shouldn't matter. That's like I said, it's discrimination, is profiling, is making up stuff because of a certain breed. You know, making up shit, man. And with this guy, you know, like I said, when they right, I argue for the people that I don't see anything they did wrong, but I don't argue for the people who you caught red-handed. And when you being caught with a makeshift box, a makeshift pit bull arena, you caught red-handed. Another thing they said, the woman remained in jail until a court day come. The man was let out. What that's going to do is that's going to force the woman to go against the man. You know, she going to be like, why they ain't let me out? Why they ain't let me out? Or whatever. He already out. But I'm guessing she can't get out because of the fentanyl. You know? So, I mean, I don't know, man. All I tell my brothers and sisters out there, and this is the thing I always say as well. I did my share of drug selling in my days, you know. But what I will say, I can't respect the game that's out here now when it comes to this fentanyl. Y'all selling this fentanyl to these people out here, man, and you know that this stuff kills people. Now, when we say kills people, we know I'm 47, so when I came up, they had all the little commercials saying, this is your brain on drugs, and talking about what drugs do to a family and different things, you know. So we know crack kills, we know coke kills, but when we say it like that, we also know that we knew crackheads. If you live in them areas, you knew crackheads your whole life that's still smoking crack maybe when you became grown. You know, I knew people that was smoking crack when I was just a little boy, and they was smoking crack when I was a grown man, because it's a different kind of killing when it comes to crack, you know, and when it comes to fentanyl. Fentanyl is a real dangerous drug. You know what I'm saying? It's not even about that being addictive, you know, because they always talk about how addictive the crack was, or how addictive the heroin was, or this drug was, and different things. When it comes to fentanyl, it's not even about it being addictive. It's about it being a killer, deadly. You know, fiends that been smoking all their life take one dab of that stuff and they pass away. You know, and I will say it's not all of them, but when you compare the ratio of people that lost their lives from fentanyl to people that lost their lives on heroin, crack, and cocaine combined, it just don't compare. It don't compare at all. Fentanyl is way worse, and the only reason they selling it is because it's cheaper. It's like y'all going out you want to go out the easy way so you can make money, but you fucking the game up. You know, you fucking the game all the way up. So I can't respect, you know, that part of the game at all. You know, and me myself, I'm so far from the game, so far from that game period, you know, totally rehabilitated myself. You know, I'm done with it. You know, if I can't make it the right way, I won't make it. You know what I'm saying? If I can't make it the hard way, I won't make it. If I can't make it the way that when I lay down at night, I'm not worried about somebody coming in, kicking in my door, and none of that, then I won't make it. But when I see these folk out here talking about free this person that got caught, we got one person that got caught with 2 bricks of fentanyl in my area. Free this person, free that person. Man, you know how many people is gonna lose their life because this is them 2 bricks of fentanyl hit the streets? You know how many people is gonna lose their lives? This man cousin, this man uncle, this man sister, this man brother, this man mother, this man father. How many people gonna lose their lives because of some fentanyl? So it's a different ball game, man. And that's why that's why they so serious about denying bail for when you get caught with this stuff. That's why they so serious about the time they're giving when you get caught with this stuff, because it ain't the same, man. You know, it's not the same. And if you sit there and look at it like it's the same, only thing that's same about it is you making money off of it. The money is the same as far as, yeah, this green dollar bill I can make off of it. But the way the drug affects the community, or the way the drug affects the people is not the same. You know? You got people, like I'm going to say it again, you got people who are smoking crack, who maintain their family, who, when I say maintain, I mean they worked out on the street. You know, they may have took money out of the family pocket or whatever or something like that, but they kept their family, and their family went through the struggle with them. You know, with this fentanyl, it's knocking off people. You know what I'm saying? Here today, gone tomorrow. So that's why they handling that situation the way they handling that situation when it comes to the fentanyl and when it comes to the law enforcement. And like I said, man, many people out here, like I said, the ones that saying, oh, free this person because they got caught selling this, or free that person because they got caught selling this amount of fentanyl. Y'all don't either y'all don't got no family that's in the streets that's doing drugs, or you never been in the streets, period, your damn self. So you're looking from the outside looking in and talking street business like I tell folk all the time. People not involved with the streets, never been involved with the streets. You in a whole different path, but you want to comment about what's going on in the streets and talk about street politics and stuff like that, man. And you don't know what the hell you be talking about, you know? But like I said, in this situation, the brother got caught with a whole makeshift pitbull arena, you know? So I can't say nothing. You caught red-handed. You caught red-handed with the pitbull fighting. You caught red-handed with the drugs. You know? And it just is what it is, man. Like I always say, you got to make the right decision. You got to go down the right path when it comes to what you're going to do when it comes to these dogs, or what you're going to do when it comes to these drugs. I always tell you, you got to make that decision. You want to be a drug dealer, or you want to have you some pit bulls. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, you want to be a drug dealer and have your pit bulls, and it's like this. You gotta be perfect. Like the boys say with some of these boxers. You know, I heard Deontay Wilder say this, you know, because he got that one-hitter quitter. You gotta be perfect your whole run when you're doing these drugs. You gotta be perfect. Them police and law enforcement, they only gotta be perfect one time. One time to catch you up slipping. And that's a wrap, man. You know what I'm saying? Say what you want to say, and then you have your chance to say who telling and who doing this and who doing that. Because a lot of people voice their opinion about this shit, and they never been in that situation. But you get caught with that fentanyl. You get caught with whatever you doing out here. And you'll have your chance to be in that situation. You know what I'm saying? And this the thing. Sometimes folk don't even know they're dealing with fentanyl. You might think you dealing with cocaine or you dealing with crack. The people who you got it from got it mixed in. And now when the law enforcement get it, they test it. They see it's fentanyl. You didn't know you were selling it. You know? But now you in that situation. And you got to see how you going to handle that situation. You know? Because everybody Billy badass until they get put in that situation, man. I don't give a damn what you say and who you is. You know? It's going down just like that, man. So, you know where you got that breaking news from first? Coming from Chicago, dog fighting bus. What they say, 20-some, 19, 18-some dogs that he was charged with, or 18-some counts he was charged with dog fighting. And like I always say, you know, you could take it to trial, but you see how it go when you go to trial. You know what I'm saying? You see how it go when you go to trial. Then they'll break your back again. You want to go to trial? Okay. You either going to plead guilty to this fentanyl, you know, or you going to plead guilty to something else. And in this situation, the dogs ain't shit compared to that fentanyl. It ain't no, oh, you pleaded guilty to the dogs and you can't take the fentanyl. They're going to drop the fentanyl. No. If anything, you plead guilty to the fentanyl and they drop the dogs. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, hey, man, I'm just here to give you that dog news, that dog talk, and that breaking news when it come down, and that update when it came to the pit bulls mauling the lady. You know what I'm saying? And I always say, we here to look to see how that grass look on the other side of that fence. You know what I'm saying? To see it ain't always green as they say it is. Matter of fact, it ain't nowhere green as they say it is. And all you got to do sometimes is look over there and be the judge for yourself. Stop letting other people think for you grown-ass motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Full grown-ass people can't think for yourself. You know, wanna be a troll. Everything, at some point, you're going to realize you can't troll everything. You know, you ain't going to be able to troll them police officers and them law enforcement. You might control these folk over here on Facebook and YouTube and all that type of stuff, but you ain't going to be able to troll when them charges and them warrants and all that shit get slapped in your face. You know what I'm saying? That's when all the trolling stops. So, hey, man, like I always say, you know where you got it from first. You know where you get it from, fair and unbiased, raw and uncut. Just a look on the other side. It's your boy PB K9s coming from the PBC, Pelican Bay's corner. Y'all stay safe, y'all stay legal, and we out.